So far, we've learned the basics of HTML and markup languages. Now that you know how to make web pages, it's time to learn how to make websites. A website is basically just a collection of web pages. More specifically, when we connect web pages together using hyperlinks, the collection of pages becomes a site. We're going to connect some web pages together, and we're going to learn some additional HTML tags along the way. Now, as you can see here, we are starting out with just a blank page, and switching over to my text editor, you can see that I've created a basic page here. We have a doc type, an HTML element, a head element, a title tag, and a body tag. We're going to create a basic blog based on the sentence, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog," which is a special sentence that uses every letter in the English alphabet. Before we start filling in the content of the site, let's give it a title. To do this, we're going to introduce a new tag called a headline tag. Let's try it out. So I'll just type H1 and we'll call it Fox Facts, and I'll close the H1. There are 6 different levels of headline tags, such as H1, H2, H3, and so on, all the way up to H6. The reason there are different levels of headlines is because semantically, not everything is necessarily the headline of the whole site. Similarly to a newspaper, a web page has a top level headline, which we just created here, and it can also have several levels of sub-headlines. These are not required, but a typical website is going to have a need for multiple headlines. Let's create our first blog post using a second level headline. So we'll just skip down to the next line here, and we'll type in H2, and we'll say "The fox is quick," and we'll close the H2. In this case, we've used a second level headline for the title of our blog post, because while it's important, it's not as important as the title of the website. Below this headline, we're going to create a paragraph and paste in some placeholder text known as lorem ipsum. So I'll just skip down to the next line here, and we'll create a paragraph and open it up. And in between, I'm just going to copy and paste some lorem ipsum text. Lorem ipsum text originated in the publishing and graphic design world and carried over to the web. It looks similar to Latin, but it's actually nonsensical and doesn't mean anything at all. When designing the look of a website, it's usually best to use as much real text as possible. But while we're just learning the technicals of putting HTML together, lorem ipsum text will do just fine. Now, I'm going to copy and paste this headline and paragraph a few times to fill out the page. So we'll just select this here, and we'll skip down and paste it in there. And then I'm just going to retitle these 2 blog posts. So I'll change this one to "The fox is brown," and I'll change this one to "The dog is lazy." You'll notice that I have a single H1 tag and multiple H2 tags. It's perfectly fine to have multiple headline tags at the same level. What you should try to do when structuring your page, however, is to use headline tags in a tree-like structure. For example, if an H2 tag was followed by an H3 tag, you would expect that the H3 tag is nested underneath the H2 as a subsection of content. If an H2 was followed by another H2, as we have done in this case here, the idea is that the headers would all sit at the same level and aren't nested under each other in any way. Finally, you wouldn't want to have an H1 further down the page unless you were starting a completely new section. Because we're using the H1 tag as our page title, we really only need one H1 per page. Now, if we're going to make a website, we need some navigation. HTML5 offers some new tags to create navigation, but they're not widely supported in all the major browsers yet. So for now, we're going to use a tried and true method. We're going to create our navigation as an unordered list. So I'll just scroll up to the top here, and right below my headline tag, I'll create an unordered list, and I'll close it. And then our first list item will be home, and our second list item will be table of facts, and we'll close that. So our website will have two pages, the home page, which is what we're looking at right now, and a table of facts. Let's switch over to the browser and see how this looks. So far it's looking pretty good, but the navigation and page header are a little bit close to the rest of the content. So we're going to learn one more tag and separate them a little bit. So let's switch back to the text editor, and right between the navigation and the second level headline, we're going to use a BR tag. This is called the break tag, and it's a self-closing tag that inserts a single line break. Once we get to learning CSS, you'll learn other ways that you can apply margin and padding to your page elements, but without CSS, using the break tag in this way works quite well. So if we switch back to the browser and refresh, you can see that we now have some distance between our navigation and our content. In the next video, we're going to link our pages together and learn how to make tables of data in HTML.